So, the proximity card revisited, coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Conversations Logical Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So I got more rhetoric for y'all. And of course, the proximity card is an example of end result thinking. Now, it's basically nothing but an excuse that black folks use as a means of being able to cry about what police officers do and what cops do to black people while ignoring what we do to ourselves. Because again, it's all about victimhood. It's not about what actually best for black people. No, anytime a cop or a white person kills a black person, black folk will lose their minds. They will cry racism, especially if it's a high profile case. They'll go, egg bananas crying about racism and the system against us, it's spiritual warfare, which is insane nonsense. But when any logically thinking person, any conservative person say, well, wait a minute, only a small fraction of black people killed are being killed by cops and white people. You got thousands of black people every year are being killed by the hands of black people. So why aren't y'all prioritizing black on black murder? You'll save a lot more lives. Well, the response that they get, and one of the responses that they use from this is the proximity card. They'll say, well, that's because they're around each other. You've probably heard that before. That black people somehow, that if you are around each other, or blacks being around each other, means it's okay to kill each other. Go figure. The problem, though, is that, well, first of all, let me say I agree 100% with that. I completely 100% agree that people will tend to commit crimes against the people that they are around. However, that doesn't excuse away the fact that blacks are committing mass crime, that we are 13% of the population and responsible for more than half of the murders in America, more than half of all violent crime in America. That doesn't excuse that away that we commit more murders and more violent crime than the other 87% of the population. There's no excuse for that. Now, there are two reasons why the proximity card is just nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. Now, the first reason, that if something is the greater danger to you, it seems to me that would be the thing that you prioritize. It doesn't matter where the danger is, whether if it's around you or not. The greater danger to black people is in Russia. You think that black folk will be more focused on Russia than anything. If the greatest danger to you is in China, as a black person, we think that we will be more focused on China. If you take the Jewish people, it is commonly believed that Jewish people will never let you forget about the Holocaust. Well, that was probably the greatest danger that Jewish people have ever faced. I mean, if there really truly were 6 million Jews exterminated in such a short period of time, well, you can imagine they would focus on that. Especially the people who actually lived through it, although those people have died off, so that's why you really don't hear about it anymore. But you can imagine those people who lived through that and was around during that time will be, of course, will prioritize that. And this is one of the reasons why they settled in Israel. It was like, well, we'll never let this happen to us ever again. So why is it that it is okay that black people kill and shoot each other? Because they're around them. And you don't see no other race of people killing and shooting each other in mass like that, but they're around each other. So that's a ridiculous argument. Now, the second reason why the proximity card is nonsense is that why doesn't the proximity card get used for police officers? Because police officers are around black people. And not only are police officers around black people, because generally this is where, wherever the highest crime is, it's where you're going to put the police officers. Why were you going to put police officers in their plate areas, a bunch of police officers in the area where there's no crime? You're going to put the police officers where the crime is. And if the crime is where black folks are, well, then that's where the police are going to be. And then therefore police are going to be around black people. So why don't we pull the proximity card for the police officer, right? Because the police officer was around Michael Brown. The police officer was around George Floyd, right? If they were on his neck, they had to be around him. The police officer was around Philando Castile. Police officers were around Alton Sterling, selling CDs in front of the store. Remember Jacob Blake, the idiot that violated the restraining order that his baby mama put on him. He goes to the baby mama house. They call the police shows up. He runs from the police, then goes to his car. They telling him to stop with guns drawn, and you gonna run your dumb ass to the car where your children are, putting danger on them. He goes in the car. They don't know what he has in the car. They shoot him because he's not listening. And they had him. He ran, pulled away from the cops, run away. They shoot him because they don't know what he's doing. Everybody's all up in arms, but they was around him. So why did people say they were around Jacob Blake? Dante Wright, same thing. The police officers were around him. And they try to claim whether he was shot and killed not too far from where George Floyd was killed by the cops. Well, if you're arrested, the police officers have you arrested because they pull you over because your tags are expired, and then they check and run your name and find out you have warrants on you, you're caught. So if the police officers attempt to put you in handcuffs, you don't fight the police car, fight the cops, and then get the car and drive off. It's idiotic. But they were around him. If a police officer was in the process of handcuffing him, obviously they were around him. And it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there because the same thing would be pulled for the white supremacists, right? George Zimmerman, who was Hispanic, was around Trayvon Martin. They didn't want to pull the proximity card. Nope. Right? Dylan Roof, who killed those black people in the church in South Carolina. He was around them. They invited him to the church. No proximity card pulled. Right? And then Peyton Gingeround, who shot the black people in Buffalo. Well, he drove, I think, 2.5 hours, 3 hours to get there. But when he got there, he was around him. So why isn't the proximity card only used, or why is it only used when it's convenient for black people? We only use the proximity card when black on black murder because we really don't care about black lives, those foundation of black America. Again, as I've said, it's not about black lives. It's about being victims and being perpetual victims in crime. Anyway, if black people are going to use a proximity card to explain away black on black murder, the things that we do to ourselves, then we logically thinking people should also apply that proximity card to police officers. So anytime a police officer kills a black person and is a questionable and is a high profile case, conservative people should start pulling that proximity card. Hey, he was around him. Same thing with a white person. A white person kills a black person. He was around him. Anyway, y'all, that's my 2 cents on this. And as always, until next time.